Alright everybody, what's up? It's your boy. I don't have a catchy thing for this anymore.
Romanico.
Yeah, sure, that's my online handle.
Or Ulterius.
Yeah, we're back at it again with another deck profile. This time it's Sram, Senior Edificer. He is a Voltron commander, probably one of the newer Voltron commanders from Aether Revolt. And he reads, whenever you cast an aura, equipment, or vehicle spell, you get to draw a card. Actually, you have to draw a card. So if you're out of cards in your deck, you're shit out of luck. He is a 2/2 for 2, which is pretty good for him. And he's a pretty fun card, actually. I kind of like the deck that he's in. I kind of like how this deck turned out. So, pretty much, because he's a Voltron commander, you want to throw a bunch of equip cards onto him, and then beat down the opponent pretty much with one creature. And that's pretty much what this deck will do. So, he's good for draw power, because, you know, every time you play an equipment or something like that, you draw a card. So, I suppose we're going to move on. We're going to go first into the Voltron creatures themselves, so that we can kind of see the creatures that you equip all this stuff onto, and then we'll move on to some other stuff afterwards. So the first one is probably one of the most unfair cards in the deck, if not the most unfair card in the deck.
Fun.
Saracen is a 1-cost 1/1 that turns into a 1-cost 6/6 with flying and lifelink if you have started the game, pretty much. You just need 30 or more life, and you start at 40 in Commander, so he's good. People think he should be banned, and I kind of agree, because I've lost to him a lot.
From this angle, he looks like Saitama.
He is Saitama.
Is he really?
He usually one-punches people until they die, so...
Fair enough.
I mean, 6/6 flying lifelink, I'd want to kill myself too after a couple turns of that. Let's see, the next one we'll go for is Fencing Ace. He is just a 1/1 for 2 with double strike. Double strike is always good, especially since some of the equipments in the deck don't actually give him double strike. He has it himself, so you can trigger like a whole bunch of things twice, which is nice. Another double striker is this guy whose name is horribly weird. Oriole Edge.
Ariuk?
Something like that. He has Melcraft, so he has double strike if you have 3 or more artifacts, which is okay, I guess. But because he's a 2/2 for 2, he's a little bit better at Fencing Ace at times. So he's nice. Alright, the next one I think we'll go into is the Hunter Cub. So Hunter Cub here is a 2/2 for 3, and as long as it's equipped, it gets a +1/+1 and has flying, which is really nice because flying is amazing. I guess. I don't know. It's pretty good. Another flyer is good old Smugglers Chopper. Banned in Standard for a reason. This card is insanely powerful at times. Just being able to come out on pretty much turn 2 and wrecking face. Drawing you lots of cards. It's a vehicle, so it triggers Sram's ability as well. And Sram can tap itself to crew the copter, which is nice. So always run Smugglers Chopper in Voltron decks. It's an amazing card. We have Aerial Responder here. It's like the white version of Vampire Nighthawk, except instead of Death Touch, it has Vigilance. So not as good, of course, but still okay. It's pretty good for a 3-cost creature, I'd say. Really overperforms at times. The next cards, or actually I'd say the last Voltron creatures, kind of, are the Infect creatures. These are the creatures that will get you banned from your playgroup because nobody likes Infect. So the simple Infect for Phyrexian Digester here. He's a 2/1 for 3 because Infect creatures are generally bad stat-wise. 2/1 for 3 with Infect. He's generic, so that's why he's good-ish. Priests of Norn is a 3-cost 1/4 with Vigilance and Infect. so that's always nice, being able to block stuff as well as attack. And then Time Strike here, or Time Strike, or whatever it is. 2-1 for 4, but it has flying and Infect, so it's a lot harder to block. So yeah, play all those if you want. Infect is gross. The next one we're going to move into their Angels, but they kind of overlap with some other stuff, so we're going to kind of use them as a transitional point. So this one is more of a Voltron Angel here. Angel of Intervention, or Angel of Invention, is a 2-1 for 5, but it has Flying, Vigilance, Lifelink, and it's Fabricate too, so it's really a 4-3 for 5. And then other creatures you control get +1/+1, so it's nice. She combos really well with the Elspeths in this deck, because the Elspeths poop out tokens, and all the tokens are going to get 1/1 from it, so just make a whole like row of 2/2 dudes. Also, it could poop out 1/1 servos as well if you want, but I rather put the counters on it, so it's stronger at times. This angel, Bane Slayer Angel, Bane slays things. But Bane Slayer Angel here is actually really well costed for its stats and its abilities. With it being a 5-cost 5/5, which is already pretty solid. Like, I'd call that a pretty good uncommon. Or a pretty good common, I mean. The flying would make it uncommon worthy, pretty much. It would be better than Sarah Avatar at that point, I'd say. And then the first strike and lifelink would make it definitely like a high-end rare. But then it gets protection from demons and from dragons, which is nice, especially since dragons are now really popular with the Commander 2017 deck that came out for them. So this card is definitely much stronger than it used to be. And it definitely deserves to be a mythic. We're going to transition here into removal cards with probably one of the strongest ones, Angel of the Serenity. A 5/6 for 7 with flying. When Angel of Serenity enters the battlefield, you exile up to 3 other target creatures from the battlefield or graveyards. And they stay that way until she leaves the field in some way. Except they go back to the hand instead, so that's pretty good. You can even exile your own stuff to recur them when she dies. For the rest of these, Banished Priest, Fairgrounds Warden, and Fiend Hunter, they all do the same thing. They all exile a creature of some sort from the battlefield, and then keep them exiled until they leave the battlefield. So, just great spot removal kind of things. This deck has a lot of that kind of stuff. These next 2 cards are kind of cards that they kind of restrict your opponent from doing things, so we'll go with the easy one first. Runetail Kitsune Ascendant here. When you have 30 or more life, you flip it. So, since you're in Commander, you automatically pretty much flip it if you get it out turn 3 or something. And then its Runetail's essence says, prevent all damage that would be dealt to creatures you control. So it makes your creatures pretty much indestructible in battle, which is amazing. It's pretty strong.
Much strong.
Much strong. This is also a pretty decent commander, because he is a legendary creature. So definitely try and run him, maybe even as a commander. Just not for Voltron build, because he's not that good in Voltron builds. So the next one we have here is Loccitane Gatekeeper. This card should probably be more expensive than it actually is, money-wise. This card's only like a couple dollars, but a 2/3 for 4 isn't that good, but its ability is pretty interesting. Artifacts, creatures, and lands your opponent controls come into play tapped. So this card like really slows down your opponent's game here, like a lot. So definitely run this in like pretty much a lot of white builds, actually. The next card up is this. It's Ironclad Slayer, a somewhat newer card from Eldritch Moon. He, upon entering the battlefield, gives you an aura or equipment from your graveyard to your hand. So it's a nice little recursion there, which is always good. We have Amaria Shepherd here. Amaria Shepherd, because you're playing mono white, is really great because you always get a permanent from your graveyard to your battlefield when you play land, which is amazing. Too bad she costs 7 for a 4/4 though, with flying, which is pretty trash. It's like Platinum Angel stats right there. This one is the good one.
It's the rainbow one.
It's the rainbow one, yes. Sun Titan. He's the good recursion card. 6/6 for 6, with vigilance as well. And when he enters the battlefield or he attacks, you return a permanent from your graveyard with converted mana cost 3 or less to the battlefield. So you get to the battlefield, it just has to be 3 or less. So he's always good. All the Titans are busted, especially the green one. Feldar Sovereign, pretty unfair card as well. It's a 4/6 for 6 with vigilance and lifelink, and at the beginning of your upkeep, if you have 40 or more life, you win the game. So try and have 40 or more.
That's just it, huh?
That's just it. Just stupid.
Fair enough.
Dumb card.
Dumb card is dumb.
That's all for creatures. We're going to move to Planeswalkers. There's 2 of them in this deck as well. These are Elspeth Knight Errant and Elspeth Sun's Champion. Knight Errant is the better one technically because it costs less and has somewhat better abilities. I like Sun's Champion and how it poops out 3/1/1 soldiers as opposed to 1 per turn. As well as the fact that Sun's Champion is also a board wipe, but they're both really nice cards, so I play both. Now we're going to go to kind of more removal spells and such. Declaration Stone, while not as effective as it could be in Commander, it is still a great card that helps get rid of stuff. Angelic Purge is nice as well, just to get rid of any kind of permanent you want at this cost of 1 of yours, so it's pretty decent. For board wipes, we have Winds of Wrath, destroying all creatures that aren't enchanted, and they can't be regenerated, so hopefully you're going to have some enchanted creatures on the field for you to not get murdered by this, but still a 5-cost board wipe, which is nice. Fell the Mighty, you have 1 creature out and your opponent has like tons and tons of creatures, and your creature's really small compared to theirs. So you just play this and you keep your creature and all of your opponent's creatures.
And what's beautiful and fitting is that they had it coming.
They did have it coming, yes.
According
this
to
is
the
what
card.
happens when you overextend and not win the game.
You have it coming?
They have it coming. This one,
Skeletor.
Skeletor Man, Phyrexian Rebirth, nukes all creatures and then poops out a colorless horror token that is decently strong at times. Usually you're going to kill like 3 or 4, maybe 5 creatures, if not more, depending on whether you're playing single player or multiplayer. Single player? No, not single player, just one-on-one or multiplayer. But especially good in multiplayer because you just nuke all the board, you just blow up the world, and you just get a big dude from the ashes, so it's always nice.
Nice.
Final Judgment. Removing all creatures from the game is great because they don't go to the graveyard, so grave effects don't activate. Things like Solemn Simulacrum won't activate, as well as dredge cards, which are annoying, like Golgari Grave Troll and such. As well as cards that can be reoccurred from the graveyard. So Final Judgment's a great card in that aspect. And then the final board wipe in this deck, which is Terminus. Terminus is probably the best board wipe in the deck because it's non-destruction, non-targeting removal that can be activated for 1 if you use it correctly. Amazing card, Miracle's OP. Comes from, let's see, what is that set? Avacyn Restored? Yeah, Avacyn Restored. Amazing card. Play it in like all the white decks. So these next few cards are a couple more removal spells as well as some searching and other stuff. They're the instants, pretty much. Enlightened Tutors for searching. Tutors are always nice in the deck. This one is no exception. We're going to do the trio of Condemn, Swords to Plowshares, and Path to Exile. All these cards are 1 cost, instant speed removal spells. Condemn, although a little bit more situational, is still pretty good because it's non-destruction as well. So definitely play all of these. Although I will say that Swords to Plowshares and Path to Exile are better, and Swords to Plowshares is definitely the best out of the 3. Another 1 cost instant is Silence. Incredibly powerful card for 1 mana at instant speed. I don't know why this card's a rare. This card should probably be not a rare and more like a mythic, because this card's insane. Especially if you put it under Isochron Scepter or something, which I actually don't run in this deck, but... Next instant, to Fairies Protection. The new card from Commander 2017 really overperforms. Board wipes, eat your ass out. But yes, to Fairies Protection, amazing card from Commander 2017. Blinks out your entire board. Well, blinking isn't really the word to describe it. It makes your entire board not exist, pretty much, until the end of the turn. Gives you protection from everything. Makes your life total unchangeable until the end of the turn.
Magic the Gathering in a nutshell.
Amazing, amazing card. Well worth the $10 that you have to pay for it if you buy it outside of the Commander structure decks, or the Commander 2017 decks. But definitely worth it. Play it in every deck that runs blue, or every deck that runs white. Amazing card. Now we're going to move on to the very little amount of enchantments. Kind of. There's a couple. Most of them are just regular enchantments instead of auras, but auras are good too. So, Cartouche of Solidarity. It's an okay card. Gives 1/1 in first strike, and poops out a 1/1 white warrior token. Grasp of the Hieromancer says that enchanted creature gets +1/+1, and as whenever this creature attacks, you tap target creature an opponent controls. So it just makes 1 less blocker and gives 1/1. It's not that good, not that bad. One I like the more though is Angelic Gift. When it comes into play, you draw a card, and then it gives the enchanted creature flying. So if you have Sram out, you draw 2 cards for 2 mana, and you get a flying creature, which is nice. These next, like, 4 or 5 cards here? 6 cards? Oh my gosh. 6 cards are all pretty much Fiend Hunter, Fairgrounds Warden, spot removal kind of things. Let's see if I can get all these in a shot.
There's a wonderful thing called zooming out that I can do. Just
Amazing.
saying. Right?
Nice memes.
Nice memes.
But yeah, they pretty much all do the same thing, with some minor differences. They all exile 1 creature, and that creature stays exiled until the card leaves the battlefield. With the exception of Grasp of Fate here, which exiles multiple creatures, but it depends on the number of opponents.
For some reason, it's recognizing the little diamond on Stasis Snare as a face on my camera.
Really?
Yeah, like, check it out.
Oh, that's weird.
That is weird. It's
That's
like,
funny.
does that really look like a face?
I guess. I don't know. Does it recognize all of them?
No, just the one.
Just the one?
That is weird.
That's a face, totally. Alright. Amazing.
I'm
Play all
keeping
these.
I'm keeping that in. That's great.
That's alright. And then 2 enchantments here that they're more Pillow Forty kind of things to screw with your opponent. We have Ghostly Prison, amazing card for stopping the opponents from attacking. They have to pay 2 for each attacking creature they control that's attacking you. So they can still attack opponents, okay, other opponents, but attacking you is going to be costly. Amazing Pillow 40 card. Also, Propaganda for blue is the exact same card as Ghostly Prison here. And then this next card, which is probably in the top 3 of the most unfair cards in this deck, is Cursive Exhaustion. Enchanted player can't cast more than 1 spell each turn, so pretty disgusting card. Very cheap to cast as well, and not many people know too much about it, but it's a pretty nice card. Now we're gonna go into the big stuff. These,
Oh boy.
these are all artifacts because this deck needs them. So the first things I have here, it seems, are Haste Enablers. Very important in artifact builds. We have the Lightning Greaves, which isn't the best one in this case because Shroud kind of sucks when you're trying to equip other stuff to a creature. So usually you end up using the Swiftfoot Boots instead for giving protection as well as haste. So those are nice, always nice stuff. You kind of have to jump through more hoops with Lightning Greaves, but still a great card nonetheless. And then you have the bigger haste enablers, Chariot of Victory, as well as Haunted Cloak, which give haste as well as 2 other buffs. For Chariot being First Strike and Trample, and for Haunted Cloak, Vigilance and Trample. Aside from that, they're pretty much the same card. They equip for 1 and they cost 3 to cast, so they're both nice cards. The next set of cards that we're going to put in here, they're not technically all from the same kind of set, or the same kind of genre of cards, I guess you could say. They're all swords, though, so these are the sword cards. So we have Sword of the Animist here. It's very powerful for getting some land in a deck that doesn't have as much land as other Magic decks do. Pretty great card. Sword of Vengeance, which is also technically a haste enabler as well. But in this case, it also gives First Strike, Vigilance, and Trample, as well as +2/+0. So it's pretty strong. And it's a sword. Amazing. And then for the real swords, is Swords of War and Peace, Swords of Feast and Famine, and Sword of Fire and Ice here. And yeah, let's get all those in the shot. Oh yeah, baby. They all give +2/+2 and protection from 2 certain colors, and they all have minor other effects that aren't really that minor, especially in Feast and Famine's case, but all great effects stacked onto very, very cheap equipments. Like, these things are insane. Run these in, like, a lot of commander decks. Like, if you have room for them, run them. I don't actually have all the other swords. Like, there's still Sword of Body and Mind, and I think there's a 5th one that I don't have either, but I forgot its name. This one's technically not a sword, but, I mean, it kind of is. Umezawa's Jite here.
It's also impossible to read with that little stamp in the text.
That's the Grand Prix promo card there. That's what it is. I'll read it, though. So whenever a equipped creature deals combat damage, put 2 charge counters on Umezawa's Jite, and you can remove a charge counter from it and choose one of these abilities to activate. The equipped creature gets +2/+2 until end of turn, or target opponent gets -1/-1 until end of turn. Target opponent creature. Or target creature in general, actually. That's pretty good. Or you gain 2 life. So it's just a nice card to dump counters on. Again, if you have a creature with double strike, its effect triggers twice, so it gets 4 of the counters. If it deals damage, of course. But amazing, amazing card. Always have one of these handy, just in case, for any deck you run. These next cards are all really, really cheap ones that you kind of want to play out early with Sram. So you have the 0 cost ones here, those being Cathar's Shield, Bonesaw, and Paradise Mantle. Again, they're all 0 cost. All 0 cost artifacts that you could just play so that you can cycle a card through your deck with the Sram. Bonesaw is like the only one I actually really use, aside from maybe Paradise Mantle. I hardly use Cathar's Shield at all, but at times it's good. So, those are those. And then for the 1 cost ones, we have Shuko, which is okay. It's just really easy to cast. And then Basilisk Collar, which is actually really good. Especially in Tiny Leader, too. The card's pretty nice in Tiny Leader. But, yeah, those are nice ones. Lifelink and Death Touch for 3 mana is pretty nice. And then finally we have, like, the more miscellaneous ones. Miscellaneous? No. I'm mispronouncing words. Bone Horde. It's Lord of Extinction's ability on legs. Kind of. It's creatures instead of cards, but... and it poops out a germ token that it equips itself to. So if you don't have a creature yet, there you go. You have a creature. Amazing. We have Loccitane Warhammer. This is also for giving +3/+0 and his Trample and Lifelink, which is pretty nice.
Are Loccitanes just like elephants?
They're all kind of elephants, yeah. They're from like, God, what block are they from? They're from the Ravnica block. They're all most of the Loccitane cards are like really good too. Like they're all very playable cards. So a great card as well. Here's a Whisper Silk Cloak. This card gives creatures unblockable. This is what you want to put on your Voltron creature last, so that it can be swinging at your opponents unhindered. It does give Shroud, which is why you want to put it on last, but a great card overall. We have Inquisitor's Flail here because dealing double the damage is really nice, and with double strike it's dealing quadruple the damage, which is amazing. Don't block with the creature that you're equipping this to, though, because it will die, like, a lot. Amazing card, though, for dealing damage. Really good for Infect, too. And finally, this isn't an equipment, but it's Soul Ring, come on. Everybody runs Soul Ring. There's not a commander deck out there that shouldn't run this card. But yeah, this card's amazing value. Play it and everything. Just do it already. It's amazing.
Do it.
Just do it!
Just do it.
Exactly.
Dead memes are dead.
Dead memes are dead. So now we're going to move on to the non-basic lands. There's only one. That's Nykthos. Because monocolor decks really love Nykthos because it just creates so much mana that you can use for so many things. It is at a pretty cheap cost too. So definitely run a Nykthos if you have the chance. Although I will say it doesn't make a lot of difference in this build specifically, but it can in other builds. And it can sometimes actually make some difference in this build, depending on the board setup and all that. It's really great for all the cards that stay on the field, like Oblivion Ring and such, that can count toward Devotion, even though they're not doing anything other than keeping creatures exiled. So there's that. And finally we have basic lands here, and these are all basic lands. I completely forgot how many there are, but I'll count them off like really fast here. 3, 6, 9. They're all full art, by the way, I think. 12.
Last time I checked, you had like
15.
2 non-full arts.
Yeah, I switched those. Let's see. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15.
3, 6, 9.
Damn sheet 5.
No, one right there.
15, 21, 24, 27.
Oh my.
Yeah, it was 31. Yeah, okay. 31. 31 lands. Plus the Nykthos is 32, so it's a bit low for a commander deck, but this deck doesn't need that much land to run off of because the curve is so low, so definitely feel free to experiment with that if you make the deck. There are, of course, some other cards in the game that I want for this deck, but I don't have them, unfortunately. Of course, Sword of Body and Mind to complete the sword set is crucial, at least for me. You could also run Godsend in here, which is another card I kind of want as well. And there's a lot of creatures out there as well that really benefit white Voltron builds like this. So please do look into some of those options. I'm not going to name all of them because there's a lot, but oh yeah, and Wrath of God, play that because 4-cost board wipes are amazing. So that's pretty much it. Again, the point of the deck is to summon this dude, put a whole bunch of shit on him, and then attack your opponent for game. So pretty simple build, pretty simple deck, pretty fun deck. It's a tier 2 deck if I remember correctly, so it's still somewhat competitive and still somewhat fun. I've won multiplayer games with it, so it's nice. But that's pretty much it. Like and subscribe, I guess. if you think Saram's weird ass beard is okay, do that, I guess. I'm still trying to remember what the joke was for him.
Saram wrap?
Yes, that was it! Saram wrap! Yeah, Saram wrap. Yeah, Saram wrap is an amazing card.
The card looks like it's in Saram wrap. Look at this.
Yeah, it's foil as hell. I love the foils. Yeah, I remember picking it up because a friend of mine pulled it out of his draft pack, and I was like, hey, I'll trade for that. I'm looking for Saram. He was like, cool, I don't need this card. Fuck this card. Because he hates it. So.
And then you started using it.
And you started using it. So,
Alrighty.
amazing.
I think that's it.
That's it. Yep.
Goodbye.
Bye.